Okay, so my dough has been bulk fermenting on my counter and has grown to be about 75% its size. So you can see it's grown quite a bit. It's looking, you know, bubbly and good. So again, I'm going to well flour my surface and I'm going to get my banneton prepared. Okay. So first I will make an oval shaped loaf. So I'm going to, you don't have to, you can just flour your silicone banneton, but I do find it helpful to line it with a tea towel or a dishcloth. So I'm going to line it with a dishcloth and then I'm going to flour the inside of that tea towel or dishcloth. I'm going to tuck it to the side. So I am making an oval shape this first time. So I'm going to work my way around my dough and I'm going to get it out of my bowl. Once my dough is out, I'm going to pick a side and I'm going to lay it down. So the side that I picked, I'm going to lay towards me because generally that makes it into a triangle shape. I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to roll my way up, tucking in my edges, and you're kind of squeezing those air bubbles out. So you can kind of hear them pop and it can be really satisfying. You're just trying to keep it all really tight. So you're folding the edges in and rolling upwards. You're not overworking. When I reach the top, I'm just squeezing it all together to create a seam in my dough. And then I'm going to do this push and pull where I push away from me and pull in, and it's just bringing all of those air bubbles to the surface. And then when I'm kind of happy with it, I'm just again creating my seam. And then I'm looking at the bottom to make sure that the bottom of my loaf looks okay. Not looking okay would look like there's a hole in there or something. But as long as it looks smooth on the surface, that's good. And then I'm putting it into my banneton. I wrap my bannetons in garbage bags and put them into the fridge. That works for me. Use an unscented garbage bag. A clean garbage bag, so I just put it into a clean garbage bag. Again, it needs access to the air. So I just do like a loose knot. There's air in there with it, and then I just put it into the fridge. And then I will show you how I do a circle shape. Okay. So here is my other dough. And here is my other banneton. And then I'm just again going to line my banneton with my tea towel. I'm going to flour my tea towel or cloth. Okay, and then I'm going to flour my surface. And again, get my dough out of my bowl. It's a good sign when your dough comes out really cleanly. That's a good sign that your fermentation is at a good level to be shaping. Okay, so for a circle shaped loaf, I do quite similarly to what I did during our stretch and folds, where I just place it out and I start at the top at 12 o'clock and tuck the edges into the center. Or if you're a regular baker or a yeast baker and you make buns, I do this. This reminds me of making buns. So I fold all the edges into the center and then I'm just squeezing to create my bottom seam here, squeezing air bubbles out, and then I'm going to do that same push and pull technique where I'm pushing away from me and then pulling in to encourage all the bubbles to the top. And like you can see them coming up and I hope that you can hear them. And so I'm just going to continue to do that until I feel like most of those large air bubbles are out. You don't want to overwork your dough, which can be tricky, but you'll get a feel for it. Once you notice it's starting to get like sticky at the top, that's your dough telling you, stop, that's enough. So then you're just going to squeeze all the stuck parts together, create a nice seam, and then look at it, and you're always going to put your nice side down because then when we bake it, we flop it over so the nice side is facing up. So nice side down, putting it into a garbage bag, and popping it into the fridge for our cold proof. Cold proofing time is a bit more personal preference and lifestyle. So if I'm busy and I don't have time to bake a loaf of bread in the next 12 hours, that's fine. The longer Generally I say 72 hours is kind of like the max amount of time I would cold proof. If you go beyond that, you risk overproofing your dough. So over and underproofing your dough results similarly in a dense loaf that doesn't rise very well. If you overproof, your dough is going to be puddle-like and not have any of that density or structure that we felt when we were doing our stretch and folds. Yeah, underproof dough is harder to tell in the dough, I guess, but overproofed is puddle-like. Both of them would bake dense and not get that nice rise that you want. So as far as cold fermenting times, generally anything 12 to 72 hours is fine. In the summer months, I would go less, like 6 to 72 hours would be fine. Mostly it's to your personal preference. The longer fermented your dough is, the more sour tasting you might get. So some people like the sour taste of sourdough bread. Some people don't. But yeah, the longer you ferment, if you're looking for a sour taste, you could definitely do a longer cold proof period. But anywhere 12 to 72 hours is what I would suggest. And then you're coming out to do your bake.